What is up, everybody? Matt with Mikey Designs here. We're going to do a little bit of graphic design on screen. I'm going to kind of walk you through the process of me designing something, so stick around. Hey, welcome back. If you're new to the channel, my name is Matt. This is Mikey Designs and Silkscreen. If you don't already know, be sure to subscribe. Check out some of our other videos. Today we're going to walk you through how I go about designing a t-shirt. So let's dive right into it. Okay, we are doing a little bit of some late night design work. Last minute order. Christy, I really appreciate it if you see this video. About to design your t-shirt right here on camera. So here is what Chrissy has provided. And let's see. Here we are. Level number 83. So there are going to be some race car shirts. And guys, bear with me. I'm going to work through this as quick as I can. I'm not going to kind of talk about the commands and all that this time around because I'm going to get to work. So here's what has been provided. And let's go ahead, and the first thing I'm going to do is use Photoshop. I'm just going to drag all these over to Photoshop. And the first step I am going to do is we are going to essentially make clipping paths and knock the cars or extract the cars from the background. This image in particular is going to need a little bit of work to get rid of the copyright, you know, the watermarks from the images. So I'm going to dive right on in. I'm just using my zoom tool here. And first thing I'm going to do is, excuse me, meant to hit caps lock. I'm going to make a clipping path. I want to make sure that we're using combined shapes here. And I'm just going to dive right in and start drawing a clipping path pretty quickly. And I do plan on having a Photoshop class on how to do a lot of these tricks. So if I'm losing you a little bit, well, you're just going to have to bear with me, and hopefully you might learn a little something from this. So one of the great things about the pen tool, as you see here, I'm using the pen tool to create a clipping path to essentially cut this image out of the background. And we're going to blow through this pretty quickly, at least the clipping part. When it comes to being a graphic designer, one of the hardest things is, you know, where do you go with this? You're almost kind of working with the blank canvas. You got a client that has a particular need, and in this case you have a deadline to meet. We have to have, this is going to go on a t-shirt. So if you're checking this video out and you're a graphic designer and you're kind of watching what I'm doing here, we are screen printers, and this is going to be screen printed on shirts. So this video will be a two-part series. Can I really call it a series? I don't think it's it's a tutorial. Actually, you're kind of just watching me do this, but I will show you how we end up printing this and how it ends up looking. But as I was saying, if you are a graphic designer, one of the things you will find out about clients is sometimes they need stuff at the last minute. And in this case is no exception. But that's all part of the job. Okay, so we closed off our path. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here and do subtract from shape, and we're going to start drawing on the inside of this path that I just made. And for those of you that are new to using Photoshop, you want to draw your outer shape first and then subtract from that. Otherwise, you're going to get issues when it comes time to selecting things. Okay, this looks like a shadow from the car, but I'm basically just kind of trimming out what is the interior of this car. And at this very moment, and I'll show you guys here in a bit once I trim all this, basically extract this car from the background. And we're not going to get too fancy with it, or at least I'm not going to mess with a lot of these holes here. Maybe this one here, since it is the back window. And we're going to figure out a way to kind of make this work. These images are pretty low res, but that is okay. With screen printing, you tend to, high res is best as always, but you know, sometimes you have what to work with, what your client has provided, and that's it. That's just the case. Okay, so I'm going to go over here to my paths. There's my working path. I'm going to call this my clipping path. And I'm just going to, I'm not even going to worry about the fact that it's all caps. I'm going to go over here and, excuse me, I'm going to call this a clipping path. I'm going to make my flatness 0.3. That's kind of my default. And then I'm just going to go ahead and save this as a TIFF really quick. And I'll just create a new folder and we'll call it builds. Normally I would just turn caps lock off, but I need to get through this quick. So we're going to go ahead and save that. I'm going to go ahead and close that one out. Now we're going to go to this next image here. And hit P on the keyboard, use my pen tool. Make sure we're using the combined shapes, and we're just going to knock this dude out real quick. Real quick like. We're going to get rid of the background. It might not look like I'm getting rid of the background right this moment, but you will see what I am talking about. I may end up doing this. It will be a combination of Illustrator and Photoshop. I might do most of the composition in Photoshop, or I might just bring in Illustrator. Sometimes I tend to piece things together in Illustrator, or I might do the whole thing in Photoshop and then bring some elements over in Illustrator that I have designed, because a lot of the time I do end up using Illustrator to set my type. I can just, my work flows a lot better when I bounce between the two. I'm pretty proficient with Photoshop. However, there are a lot of tricks that I can do in Illustrator that I just can't do as quick in Photoshop. So, I mean, if your deal is Photoshop, then more power to you. I would suggest learning the both of them, because they're both great programs, and I can, man, a lot of stuff that I create is in Illustrator, and I can just bang stuff out. Same thing in Photoshop, but I like to use a combination of the two, which you will see here in a moment. Like I was saying, some of the hardest things, and this part here, you know, it might have to end up being like some sort of cool background that fixes this issue, because the fact that it's just sitting in a field and you're missing part of the cars, you got to be creative and figure out a way to problem solve all that. And I'm not going to mess with these flowers here. I'm not going to do all that. I would try to do the least amount of points as possible. Probably need to take a page out of my own book there. And that's where Photoshop's going to come in handy. I'm going to pull this in a little more. Looks like I moved the whole image. Okay, we have that part of the clipping path all taken care of. Now, next thing I'm going to do is use the subtract from shape. I'm pretty sure they don't want her in there. I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong. I might look like a fool if they do want her in there. Although I don't see why they would. Kind of looks like she's hanging out from the driver's side. And who knows? You never know. We will see. They get this racing seat in there. That's definitely something that they probably might want. There's no driver, though. There's no driver. Wait. Actually, I think she is the driver. Brent Guillory. I don't know. I might have to talk to them about that. If she is the driver and her name is Brent, then I will be surprised. But I don't think she needs to be in there. They might come back and be like, "Hey, why'd you take Brent out? I didn't know Brent was a woman." Isn't that right, Shannon?
Brent's a who?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if Brent is. I'm pretty sure Brent's a dude. However, that might be his girlfriend or his wife or something hanging out the window. But I am going to remove her for the initial concept. So we shall see. And hopefully they like this design. I'm doing it last minute. And like I said, that's just how it goes sometimes. So let's crank out some last minute creative stuff. And sometimes it's hard being creative at the last minute. But I will say a lot of times that working under pressure, it kind of forces you to get things done and come up with something versus if you just sit on it and you're like, I don't know where I'm going with it. I don't know where I'm going with it. I have no clue. I do have some images I pulled off the old interwebs that I may use for ideas. And that's just kind of the way I work creatively. So I'm going to call this clipping path once again. Okay. I'm going to save this as a TIFF. Actually, I probably should have saved it as an EPS. TIFF will be fine. As long as it retains my clipping path. Sometimes, I don't know, back in the day, you had to save it as an EPS and it came in well. But here, I mean, these days now it's kind of, they're pretty smart. The kind of date myself, the version of Photoshop that I started out with was 5.5, and I think it was Illustrator 5 as well. So I might tell you a little something. Although Illustrator 5 was so, I still really use the same tricks that I did in Illustrator 5. I think the newer versions are just, it makes it easier to do things like drop shadows. You kind of had to manually do that, where you would make a selection and then essentially create a shape and then blur that and kind of offset it. So you guys are lucky. You guys and gals out there are lucky if you're just getting into it. For some of you out there that still do graphic design and have been in it as long as I have, and perhaps, I don't know, if you are an art director or something along those lines and don't screw around with it that much, you know what I'm talking about. You had to do the hard work. Had to be that person to get to that spot. And now are probably directing some younger people. No, you're doing it wrong. That's not what I said. Anyhow, as you can see, I'm kind of burning right through making all these clipping paths. This part is the easy part, really. Although, you know what I didn't do is I forgot to make this dude the combined shapes. Now we can subtract. Let's go back. So I'm trying to, one of the things about doing this on the fly and trying to record this is sometimes you might overlook stuff and you're not quite as focused. Getting rid of this window area. It's a pretty, you know, low res image, so it's kind of hard to tell where the exact edge is. So you have to be the person to determine where that's at. Okay, I'm going to call this a clipping path once again. 0.3 flatness. And what the flatness means is if you boost that number up some more, when you bring that into, let's say if you brought it into InDesign or Illustrator, you're going to have some pretty hard edges. So 0.3 is kind of what I found to be a little bit of the sweet spot. You do notice it's 1041 here. Okay. Got that one done. Ew, this one's going to be a real doozy. All right, let me go back up here and make sure we're starting out right. And like I said, I mean, if this was going on some sort of big banner or something like that, you definitely would notice. Oh, look at that. I forgot the tire over here. I'm going to go back. But if it were going in some sort of large format where it was digitally printed, offset printed, and I think a lot of stuff's digital these days, unless it's a huge run. But you're really not going to tell too much on a t-shirt. And it makes some difference, but hey, this is what we have to work with. Now hopefully we can just make something really cool looking, because this isn't something I do every day. Not the design part, but doing a race specific t-shirt. They generally have a specific style, but I'm going to throw my own little style in there. Ugh, so much stuff to knock out of the windows. Why? Why can't these cars just have tint on them or something? And I wouldn't have to trim all this stuff out. I find that being a graphic designer, you get to kind of secretly bitch about certain things, and you know, your client just sees the end results, but I think that probably comes with any profession. You take your car into a mechanic and something goes wrong, you better believe they're bitching about it. Not that I'm bitching too much, just need to blow through this quickly. Figure out some sort of decent layout. And then we're going to tie in some sort of cool looking text. I hope. We'll figure it out. Like I said, I'm going to use some of these examples I took offline as inspiration. Okay, we're going to call this clipping path once again. Go over to our options and make the clipping path. So now, just need to save this out, save it as a TIFF, and put this in my builds. Generally, I would label these, but kind of need to do this quick like. So, I don't know. Let's figure this out real quick. I might do it in Illustrator or Photoshop. Maybe, well, obviously I'm using both right now, but I'm going to go ahead and know my maximum print size is 12 by 15, so let's go ahead and make ourselves an Illustrator document. I'm going to place these guys on here, and I'm going to play with the layout a little bit. Come on, computer. Do your thing. Double click. Click. Get it the folder. Alright, now I'm going to place these on here. Let's see how this ends up working out. If I need to go back and save it as an EPS. Hopefully not. Oh, look at that. It's backwards. That one's backwards. I may have not clipped that one correctly. Anyways, our paths are working, but obviously I didn't do something right. So let's go back and take a look and see what I did not do right. Okay, open it on up. What did I do? Some of these have, okay, so that one looks fine. Let's find that image and close that one out. And that one, I may have just blown through it too quickly. Let's see, did we do our clipping path? Maybe it's because I didn't enter any flatness. Let's see if that made a change. Yes, we want to update it. Pow! Look at that. Okay, so we got that all taken care of. Let's take a look at this dude. Alright, we got our flatness in there. But I think I jumped the gun and did not. Yep, there it is. That is the issue. So I hit save. Pow. There we are. There's that dude. Let's go ahead and close that. I'm sure it's probably the same issue. Nope. Go over to my clipping path. Yeah, we made it a clipping path, alright. Maybe the inside of all these windows, which if that is the case, not too big of a deal. However, yeah, we'll hit subtract, and then we're going to go back and select the outer portion of it. Hit save and see what we got. Bam! There it is. I'm getting ahead of myself. So I'm going to try and make all these cars about the same size. Be sure to hold shift and it will scale it to size. And at this moment, you know, this might even be a moot point doing this, but I guess we're going to start out. And I think I'm going to kind of stagger some of these. And maybe this car could have some text or something underneath it. I'm going to stagger them a little bit. We are way too big with our graphics. Okay, so we're off to the races. Ah! Ba-da-ba. Yep, all good. You know, I don't even think she even mentioned what she wanted on there. I'm gonna have to go back and check that. But in the meantime, I got me a little folder here that I labeled ideas. I wonder what they are. Could they be ideas? Yeah, look at that. They are ideas. So, okay, I think one thing you will notice in this particular instance, with our client, we're charging them to put something together pretty quickly, but we're going to use the car images as is. These are obviously redrawn, but really and truly, as quick as this turnaround time is and as much time as we have charged, dude, this could be a 3 or 4 day project doing something like that, redrawing all these cars. This one perhaps maybe a day and a half. This one a different story. Kind of like how this one looks. This is pretty cool too. Might have to take something along the lines like that. And yeah, this one's pretty intricate. That's definitely taken someone quite a bit of time. You are not going to see me create something that intricate. At least not in the amount of time we have to do this. This is pretty cool. Okay. Yeah, so this looks cool. A little more simplified. Same thing here. Got a little bit of an 80s vibe going on. Where to go with this? Where to go? Well, for starters, we do know it's 83. And we're just going to leave that as is. And we know the name is Level. Level. I think that's how you spell it. And before I get too far, I'm going to go ahead and save this out real quick. Copy that. And I'm not trying to be a military personnel. I'm just saying, just copied the name. Save it. All right, while this saves, I'm going to go back real quick and take a look at our messages from Facebook. Okay, now that I've had a little bit of a chance to review some of my clients' feedback. Looks like they want some sort of racing flag in the background, so let me see what I can find as far as a racing flag goes. Let's say clip art and see what we get. So many ways to go. Let's see, this might be something we can use. So I'm going to take that and then I'm going to toss that into my folder. See what else we got here. Designing stuff on the fly. Racing. I don't know, maybe something a little more grungy. Oh, that looks pretty cool. So one thing as you guys are watching me do this, got to keep in mind is that it needs to be, it's going on a hot pink shirt. So let's see what we end up with here. This might end up being something cool. And it doesn't really matter. It has this watermark stuff in it. That's pretty cool as well. Yeah, I'm just looking for something that's going to be high enough resolution. Well, let's see what else we got. I mean, some of these will kind of give you ideas too. There is a million ways that we could go with this. That's kind of cool. Maybe I might use that. We shall see. No. I'm going to write that one off. Let's see what else we got here. Clipart, why don't you give me they're giving me a suggestion. That's kind of cool. I could do something with that. That's pretty neat. Let's see what else they have. Giving me some suggestions here. Might be hard to get rid of those watermarks. There's certain tricks that I do to combat that if you're not exactly paying for it. So, where to go with this? Where to go? Okay, let's look at some more dirt track racing tees. And I did not spell design right. Just trying to do something that looks cool. And we don't have a whole lot of time to spend doing this stuff. That is fairly simple. So maybe this is kind of giving me an idea here. Let's see. Ideas. Let's see what else we got. What else do we have? I mean, you see something like that, it's pretty simple. Little too simple, if you ask me. See, I mean, that's pretty simple as well. I think we're trying to stay... I mean, that's pretty awesome. I'm going to take that and stick it over here as well. To me, the more ideas, the merrier. I can kind of just create something based off of some of these ideas. That's pretty cool. Well, this one's pretty elaborate. Don't think I'm going to put an eagle in there or anything like that. That's a little much. Although I do like the outline around this one. I'm going to drag this over just in case. I think it will give me some ideas. This one's kind of got that same thing going on. Lines around it. We already grabbed that one up. Not sure I'm a fan of... The background looks cool, but... Looks cool, but not the way I want to go with it. And I'm not going to limit it to just... dirt track. You know, I might find some other ideas from stuff like this. Okay, I do like this kind of splatter background thing going on here. Okay, so I think we have enough to go off of. Let's see, what did I just add today? Let's go ahead and drag and drop these in there. I'm going to change this to RGB, so the colors here are nice and vibrant RGB colors. And this is just kind of the way I like to work. Just tend to put things on our artboard and then just kind of figure it out from there. Okay, one thing I do like about this, I like how the cars are layered. I like the little action lines they have going on. That's cool. We got action lines here, so maybe we'll do something similar. I like this. I do like that. I like how it's looks like it's kicking up dirt. Let me go back. We do have 6 colors to work with, so looks like we got ourselves a blue. So let me just toss in some sort of blue swatch here. We'll make it a royal blue light color. Let's call it royal. It's our royal, and then we have, and so I just made a spot color. Definitely have pink. So let's give that 100%. Maybe not 100%. Let's pull it back. That looks cool. We'll call it pink, and we're just using these as a basis spot color. We're definitely going to have a gray. So maybe something along the lines of that. Sure, why not? Call it gray spot. I like to use my CMY colors, so CMYK, excuse me. So I'm just gonna use black at the moment. Get rid of this yellow. Find something kind of medium ground. Let's just do blah 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 blah. One of them long days, can't even talk. Let's do 30%. Keep that as a spot color as well. I'm gonna drag this up here. Looks like we have some yellow in some of the cars here. So we'll just create a new spot. Call it yellow spot. So we just kept it yellow. That would not work. It will tell you, no, you cannot name it yellow because we already have a yellow. And I can always go back and fine tune these by double clicking them and saying, I want it to be more pink. Hit OK, and it will adjust everything. All right. What else do we have going on here color wise? Looks like we have some lighter blue. Got some red going on. I do know I will have a white at least as the base, so we'll call it white base. Okay. Probably should have made that a spot color. There we are. And black. Black, so we got 6 colors that we can work with. Let's do black as well. We'll call it black spot. Because once again, it will tell me that if I just call it black, it will say, hey, there's already a black spot color in there. Or black swatch. Okay, so I'm gonna select all unused. Just get rid of those. Whoop. You know what? Because I haven't used any of those swatches. Of course, it's gonna tell me that, hey, we're getting rid of the spot colors you just made up because you hadn't used them quite yet. So we're just gonna do this real quick, just so we retain them, and it will kind of give me a little bit of a basis to go off of as I design. Okay, select all unused, hit delete. Okay, so now we have our spot colors, your black and your white, your registration color, and no color will generally always be there. You'll have to excuse me, didn't mean to bump the mic there. Okay, so next thing we want to do, level racing. You know, racing, the word racing tends to be something that's in a lot of them. I like this. I like how it's got the numbers there. So we're gonna have to find some colors. That's kind of cool as well. And I'm not even sure what I just said because it's getting late. Okay, we got, let's see, racing. Maybe make that lowercase. And then let's kind of go through and find ourselves some sort of font to work with. Move this dude over so I can see it. This might be something racing wise just to make it look a little different. Spoleto tends to be a cool one. I don't know. We'll see. I'm trying to find something along the same lines. Let's see what we have in our library here. Let me scroll to the top. Nope, nope, nope. A little too fancy. Definitely none of those. Ah, that looks pretty cool. Alright, let me see if I can find one more and we'll find, or go with the one that kind of looks coolest. As you can see, I'm just kind of quickly blazing through some of these. And that might work. I don't know. Let me do one more. I feel like I'm probably going to end up missing something that might work a little better. Brush. No. Brush is used a little too often. No, it's too 70s looking. No. No, not that one. Is that the one I already used that I just saw? Saw something that looked kind of cool. Haha! Too Fiesta. Nah, a little too thin. Need some kind of bold. And one thing I'm kind of paying attention to as well as I'm going through these is I need something bold for my for levels name and then for the racing numbers. So I'm kind of keeping an eye out for that kind of stuff too. It might be. All right. I think we spent enough time doing all that. Let's see what we get when. Let's see if we can't find something cool. That's kind of neat. Doing this on the fly, guys. Doing it on the fly. Got a lot to do and very little time to do it. Nope. Not liking it. No. Let's see what else we got here. Nope. You know, I might end up just going with this font called Go Bold. Tends to be one of my default fonts, just in case. This is, like I mentioned, God, such a last minute thing. And this is Go Bold, like I had mentioned, but I don't know. Maybe that might not work for the situation. All right, well, we'll use that as an option. See if we can't find something a little cooler. Granted, I can always go find a font at 1001 free fonts, something along those lines. Just trying to find something kind of edgy, bold looking, something that's like in your face. No. Stencil, definitely not. United, yeah, a a little too athletic for me, at least for this design. I might hold on to this as an option that's pretty bold and not quite as edgy as I want, but I could definitely make it look pretty cool. Let's take a look at some of the numbers they got going on here. Kind of like how they got some of these graphics going down the side. That's pretty cool. Level. Let me go through these one more time. I don't think that's going to work, but let's see what else we have. You know, sometimes these things just kind of fall into place once you put a design into it. You kind of start to, I wouldn't say fall in love with it, I guess get used to looking at it. Maybe a little desensitized to it. I don't know. Some of these are just, none of these are really speaking to me. Not quite in love with any of them. Nope. And I come across and go bold, I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. It's not the coolest thing, but yeah. Although at this point, sometimes you just kind of have to choose something and run with it. Rockwell. Boy, I'm just really digging deep there with Rockwell. Yeah, no. Alright, I might have to go to 1001 free fonts and find a little something. I don't know, that may work. It's a little too techie, kind of footballish. You know what? Speaking of football, I have some NFL fonts. Might end up working out. Go through some of these NFL fonts and might end up being something I can use. Let's see, this Mac might be, here we go. Some of these might end up working. What folder is this in? NFL Texans. At one point I did a Texans design. We have all these team fonts that are at least similar. Come on, work with me. Open this stuff up. Let's see how some of these fonts look. Some of them can be pretty cool and not too teamy. Let's see, L, O. I don't know, maybe. Let's stick this into a folder called fonts. This might work. Maybe not. All right, let's see what else we got here. Man, some of these just, because they are so tall, just might not end up working out. Oh, okay, took myself a little break to eat a little something. Now, time to get back at it. Okay, so I was looking at fonts, but I think what I'm going to do is start shuffling these guys around a little bit. I think this dude can go on top of this one. I think maybe we should feature this one a little more, just because it's a little bit better of a photograph. Stick this dude over the top of that, kind of hide that a little bit, and then we're gonna switch these guys around, and then maybe I can hide part of this one too. Pow! Send it to the back. Okay. We got 4 cars here. I don't know, for some reason I feel like this should be a little bigger. I don't want to irritate anyone by making one car bigger than the other, but what are you gonna do? And at this moment, I don't know, this might even just be kind of a mock-up layout. One thing I do like about this shirt, if I make it straight-ish, so I kind of like how the cars are kind of angled. See how that will look. It might end up not looking very good. I don't know, maybe that's enough. Shuffle them around a little bit. I don't know, I feel like I'm trying to make some lemonade here. Some lemonade. Ugh. 4 cars. Let's take a look at maybe some sort of multiple car dirt track t-shirt design. See what that pulls up. But man, some of these angles are just really cool on some of these others. Okay. I don't know, I feel like the angles on these cars are all on the side, which tend to be not super interesting. I don't know, that's kind of cool. However, you got this big graphic here going on. I don't know. Creative wall, hitting a creative wall. What do we do? What do we do? If you know what to do at this point, leave a comment into the the comment section. I need some help. No, I'm sure it'll be fine. I'm gonna go back and immediately looking at this, I'm gonna make that color. Maybe make this a little more blue. And you may find that my designing technique is a little sporadic. I don't know. I'm just not thrilled about some of these fonts. Let's see. Here's the design I did before for my brother. Which, I mean, looks cool. However, there was more direction. Obviously, it's the Hulk and all that. And Team 55. I know him. I know my brother a little more so than I do them, so it made it a little easier. All right, let's go back to these fonts. See what we have here. See if we find anything cool. Man, all these fonts are just... Okay, this might not be the best font selections. Although this one almost looks like Impact. Impact's very generic. Maybe I shouldn't use that one. You know, that might not be too bad. That may not be too bad. What do you think, guys? Let me know in the comments what font I should have went with. But we're going to make this look cool regardless. Okay. Let's start shuffling some things around. I don't know. Just these pictures. Man. Looking at this, and there has to be all 4 cars on there is a thing, which is kind of turning into a little bit of an issue. I don't know, maybe I can rotate this dude a little bit so they all don't look like they're going downhill or uphill. Who knows? Maybe so. Maybe this one could not be quite such a dramatic angle. Maybe make this dude go down. Maybe not. And for you graphic designers out there, new or experienced, you know how this goes, or maybe you don't. There's a lot of shuffling. A lot of shuffling that goes on. Okay. I think next thing I'm going to do is look at some splatter backgrounds. See what I can't get out of that. Nope. Excuse me. Let's see. Black and white. Ooh, geez. Not quite what I was looking for, but let me go back to where I was at. And something like this we could possibly use to collage something up here. So I'm going to take this, and I think I'll just throw it in here. I'm going to go to image trace, see what we get from that. Alright, I'm going to hit expand. I'm going to select this white. Same fill color. So one thing I may want to do initially, okay, let's call this the art layer. I'm going to call this background. So I do know that the t-shirt color is going to be a very similar color to the pink that we are going to use to screen print these things with. So we'll make it this color. Maybe even make a new color. And we'll use RGB. Hit preview on that. So it's pretty much like a safety pink. And I think that's cool. Let me call this safety pink. I'm going to drag this behind my art layer. And I'm just going to lock it. Bah! Look at that. What is going on? Okay, so I do have an idea. Man, we're really going to have to... And the shirt color is safety pink, right, Shannon? Yeah.
What?
The shirt color is safety pink?
Hot pink and gray.
Oh, so they have gray shirts as well.
Yes.
Oh, well, isn't that fantastic? Okay.
Yeah, I thought that too.
That makes it a little more interesting. Okay, so let me design something around gray. That'll be a little easier, at least for me. 4 cars. That's a lot of cars. Okay. So I think I'm just going to run with this for now. If I find a font that I like more, I will replace it. But, however, we got to create something a little more interesting than this. I don't know, maybe we can put the 83 in the background. You're not going to see that. Nope. Okay. So we might have to go back to the old tilt that we had. Tilt them up a little bit. Might make this guy a little smaller again. Or I just might stagger each one of these a little more. Just trying to fill the space. Create something that looks interesting. Okay, I'm liking that a little more. Grab the image. There we go. It almost looks like it's riding on top of it. Okay, I like that a little better. And we'll have to fill some of this dead space with something. Some sort of graphic. Okay. Maybe we should make this one flat like so. All right. Let's see if we can't create something cool with this, and maybe let me copy that off. It's already converted that. And maybe some sort of interesting. And you'll see what I'm doing here. Okay, we're going to divide that. Ungroup it. Get rid of that. Get rid of this. Take this. Stop selecting cars. Stop doing it. Let me back up a bit. That might not be what I'm after. Maybe this needs to come up a little bit. Looks like I might have backed up just a little too far. Close this path off. See what we got here. Get rid of that. I might just lock these cars for now. Or take what I got here, move it out the way, so I keep selecting them. And we can either do something along those lines, Somewhere along these lines. I think I know. Let's see. Okay. So let's make a gradient here. Let me reverse that. Do a similar gradient. Take our little gradient tool. Okay, now that's starting to look like some sort of hill range. Don't want it that dark though. Let's see. Okay. Maybe we can take this gray, pop that in there. Might even do another gray. Come over to the color. Make that CMYK. Put a touch more black. Now I need to spread these dudes out. Want this white to be obvious. I don't like how hard the break is right there though. So maybe we'll just take that up. Pull this back where it was at. I'm going to go ahead and combine those. Combine these, that way easily select them. However, we got a little bit of an issue going on here. Okay. Actually, I think I might make this a little bit darker of a gray. Come on now. Let's put all the CMYK in there. Okay. Might be a little bit more dramatic if we come back here and pull some of that back. Yeah. I think it's a little too dark. Little too dark. See, let me go back to my swatches here. There we go. That's looking better. Ooh. Okay, so I'm going to take that. And then see what we can't do with some of the colors that they have. Just going to copy it and send it to the back. Kind of like how this looks. So let's say we'll do a little bit of a darker outline. At this point, I just want to work with CMYK. Let me switch that around. That might help. Let's see. They have... Okay, I see what's going on here. All right. Gonna bump this stroke up a little bit. Copy, send it to the back. Command C, Command B. So now I'm gonna make this stroke black. At least I thought I did. Make that a little larger. Yeah, they got a little bit of a 3D effect going on here. So if I want to achieve that, copy it, send it to the back. Come on now. Offset that a little bit. And we shall fix this later. However, sometimes that ends up looking pretty cool. And let me go to my art layer here. Figure out where all these cars are at. Lock them so they don't move. May end up stretching this out. Or not. We shall see. Okay, so I think at this point, might see how some pink or either that or the blue. Excuse me. Stuff's coming up. One thing I do kind of like is how that's done. So, but we'll kind of do our own thing. All right, so we're going to use this pink. Make it bigger, hopefully. Come on, how ginormous you... Pow. Yeah, I think it's a little too big. 20 points, not quite enough. Not quite there. I don't know, we might round it off a little bit. What did I just do? All right. And take this. I'm going to cut this guy. And I'm going to make all these rounded a little bit, see how that looks. And that may or may not end up working, but we shall find out. Let's get down to this pink here. Come on, give it to me. Ah. You know what? Sometimes when it's hard to get to it, it's like same fill. Excuse me, stroke color. Okay. Man. What to do here? Let's maybe try a little bit of white. Bump it up a little bit. That may or may not work. And then let's see what it looks like. Kind of sheared off. Make it bigger. Maybe even squeeze it down a little bit. Looks a little too fat now. Send it behind the car. Might have skewed it a little too much. Who knows? Who knows? And who knows if they want that pink? They might not even like it. Okay. Going to unlock these. Play with these cars a little bit. Come on. Here we go. Okay, still enough of letters there to read it. We got rid of this dude. And then, I don't know, just do something a little different. Say using this 83. Might take one of those NFL fonts. Let's see, which NFL font did I toss in here, if anything? Doesn't look like I grabbed any. See if any of these look cool. Trying to find something a little more rounded. I mean, that can't be. Every single NFL fonts. Okay, I kind of like that. Ah! That looks cool. Alright, let's use that one. We will use the NFL Rams. Excuse me. And it's nice, bright and early. 1:16 a.m. Let's see, that should be installed now. Let me double check that. Let's see. NFL Rams. All right, let's see if we can do something interesting with that. I think I'm... I'm going to make this pink a little deeper. No. I see it next to the car. Okay. That's looking more like it. Okay. A lot of black and white and blue going on. I might have jumped the gun a little bit. Select same. Stroke color. Change it to blue, see what it looks like. No, I think I like the pink. Going back to the pink. So there might be a few things that I end up doing to kind of make this look a little more interesting with the font, but we shall see. Time is of the essence. And I eventually would like to get some sleep. So I'm going to go ahead and save that. Since we're at this point, it's starting to look kind of cool. I might end up squeezing in the 83 here somewhere. You know, maybe something like this. Moving this car this way. Moving this dude this way. And maybe I could, or even at the racing. I don't know how they'll feel about that, but okay. So at this point, I'm going to pull this aside, make this its own little group, and then perhaps. I'm going to do something interesting with it, at least try to. Maybe use the blue, skew it in a similar fashion. Make it smaller because it's not the main focus of everything. And take a look and see what we can't do with it being blue. I think I might end up making that just a true royal. And so we might do something similar. Similar treatment. Kind of the mountain hills kind of looking background. I don't think it'll look good there in the G. Okay. Make this a different color. Might make it a little easier for me to. Let me duplicate this so I don't lose whatever that font is. Okay, just turn that to outlines. I can use my little divide. Get rid of that. Come here. Get rid of everything inside of my characters. Get rid of that as well. At this point, you know what? I'm going to take this. Going to group it. Double click on it. Select same fill color. Make that one shape. I may have missed this little portion of the eye. Let me cut that. Double click on this again. Paste it in place. Combine that shape. Combine these shapes. Now when I go to ungroup it, got these two separate shapes. Back up on that. Looks like there's something funky here. Okay, got rid of that. Let's make ourselves a little gradient here again. And in using our spot colors, we're going to take this and take that one. We're going to repeat the same thing here. Get our little gradient going on. And then we're going to make this one a little lighter. Pull that back. Come up here. Do the same thing. Except we need to fix the direction of the gradient. Oh, look at me. I'm Bob Ross. It looks like Bob Ross has been here helping me design this t-shirt. Not really. He's much more amazing. Anywho. I want to make it too light. Play this gradient a little bit. However, trying to make it look a little reflective. So I might pull this in some. Kind of really squish this gradient. Okay. I think that's good enough. Now let's play with some outlines. I think in this instance, let's try a few things. What colors do we have to work with here? Yellow. Yellow is one we have to work with. Let's go back and look at some of our examples. We'll get some ideas. I don't know. I might try an old trick that I like to use. Well, let me group this. Send this to the back. Offset it a little bit. It's a little too much. Just holding shift down and walk it back a little bit. Use our black. Okay, it's looking kind of cool. Copy both of these. Actually, let me group it. Copy it, send it to the back. And let's toss some white in there. White. Or white base. We're going to round this off because that's looking a little too sharp. I don't want to do that. Maybe make it yellow. Okay. Excuse me, that's looking a little more interesting. Yeah, bump it up. Just completely fill this part of the A in. Okay, I think that stands out pretty well. Might play with it a little bit, so some of the O6 out here. Do think that these, however, are at slightly a different angle. I'm going to go extreme and just trying to find the correct angle. Okay, let's try that. I'm going to group these dudes. I think I might need to increase this angle just a touch more. I think we're about there. What do y'all think? Let me know in the comments. And at what section you're letting me know at, because I know I've said that more than once. Okay. Let's see, so that both these should be grouped off. I think I might scooch it over a little more. Now I feel like it needs to be increased just a little more. There we go. Get some of that yellow going in there, and we'll toss it into our composition. Make this bigger. Try and fill some of the space up. Okay. We're going to have to scoot some of these cars around. And who knows, maybe this is too big. Maybe this one's too ginormous. Maybe this one's too big. I don't know, because it's not exactly that important compared to the cars. So, bring this dude up into the composition a little bit. Scoot it over. That's one of the things about designing. You think something might work, and then you're going to end up undoing what you did anyways. Although I do kind of want that to show through the window a little bit. So, try to grab this card right here. This dude, that's not it. Oh, it is it. Alright, let me move this guy over. Move this dude over. The only issue is this front wheel. So I'm starting to like how this is looking. I think to kind of fill some of the space down here. Pull this down a little bit. Though I don't want to cover up the car too much. All right. It's not looking half bad. Starting to get there. Slowly but surely. One of the things that's going to kind of tie this in is some sort of background. And you'll notice a lot of these other designs, just the background kind of helps fill some of that stuff in, but also they have other stuff going on here and here. And they don't have as many cars. They've got some extra copy. Sponsors. I take it they have no sponsors. This may be a little bit better of an example. So tossing in that 83 somewhere may help to fill some of the space up. maybe we can toss the 83 in right here or something, but at this point now we need to do something interesting with it. And if it's not obvious, 83 is the number. Good old 83. Okay. And I think in order to kind of fix what's going on here, and one of the issues is I don't want to make one car less important than the other. However, composition wise, okay, I think that's enough of the car without making it too small. Might make it a little bigger. Depends on how finicky their sponsors are. Alright. I kind of like this here. I think I might mimic that. So let's take this 83. We'll skew it a little bit. Always gives a little bit of, makes it look like there's some action going on. So these cars are fast. My brother races. I actually race against level, and he would win. My brother's so competitive. He would get so pissed because he would come up second. I think I actually have some video. If I can find it, I'll toss it in right here. I think I might compress this a little bit, make it look a little bolder. Maybe even tighten up the kerning. Okay, let's see how this ends up working out. I don't know, I might make this a little smaller. Who knows? Let me see what goes on with the background before I end up messing with that too much. Now at this point, I'm almost kind of thinking this is nice and bold, but it's not as interesting as this font. So if that is the case, why don't we just make this black? Which is not going to end up being black, but this is for mock-up purposes. And it's a little trick you can do to make a font bold. This is kind of cool. I'm like looking at this, I'm like, this is kind of cool. I don't know, I might try another variation, something similar to that. But it's definitely a longer name. You know what? Let's go in here to our effects, and we're going to do a little something or another, and that is not what I'm after. Where is the effect I am looking at? I believe it's this one. So we just need to reverse it out a little bit. Nope, that's not it. Let's see, maybe if we skew it a little more, because now it looks like it. That one's definitely got a little bit of a taper going on. So I think I might end up pulling back that, how bold that is. I don't know. Kind of like that a little better. So I'm not happy with how tall this is and how fat this font is. But also just the angles of these things and multiple cars. Huh. Alright, well, let me push on and keep working with some of these other guys. Sorry, dude, you might end up being a little smaller. Whatever class you're in. I think you are street stock. Could be wrong. This might be a street stock car. Anyhow, like the effect that's going on here, so let's make that white. And then looks like we got a little. Okay, so it looks like this type of thing's going on. Maybe a slight drop shadow to it. Slight. It's either that or it's got an outline on it. Maybe we'll do both. Maybe we will do both. Let's see what that gets us. Okay. And let me go back a little bit. Maybe make it touch thicker. Turn them both out just a little bit. Or not. Maybe I'll just make the outline thicker. Come on, where were we at? Sometimes when stuff's not working, I tend to just over exaggerate it, make sure I'm not losing my mind here. And so I'm messing with this and it doesn't seem like it's doing anything. You know why? So I don't have anything selected. Must have hit the artboard at some point. Come back, make this thinner. Copy that and send it to the back. Let's just go with it. Make it big. Nah. Okay. Starting to get somewhere. A little different. Can maybe look like it's popping off that way. Let's see. However, I don't like what's going on here. Seems like a little much. Okay, copy, sends it back. Make this black. Kind of mess with that a little bit. I've got an idea. Since we do have yellow, what we're going to do is turn this font to an outline. Path outline to stroke. Combine that. We're going to go over to our fill. This is really going to make it stand out, even though it is not the biggest number I could possibly do. However, take this yellow and then this white. Pow! Now that pops out, makes these things kind of tie in together. I'm going to pull that back a little bit. Where did you come from? Get out of there. There we go. Yeah. I don't know. I might try taking this and send it the other way. Nah, I think I liked it better the other way. Although I think I might pull it down a little bit. Sorry, sometimes I have to pull these things out to the extreme to really see what's going on. Okay, I'm liking it. I think I may size that down a little bit. Really just trying to cover up what's going on with that front wheel. One thing I do not like is the amount of space here. So I think I'll pull this back just a little bit. Let's make it 8 point. Come on. Aha. Aha. So let me delete that. Pull this back. I'm not even sure why that was even there to begin with. Okay. Now we're cooking with Crisco. I think one thing I might do. Let me take a look at something here. Nope. You're not the one I was looking for. There we go. There we go. So now we got some of this stuff going on here. Almost like a little bit of window 3D effect going on. Pow! However, I don't know, I might make something that looks like mud going over that, or just Photoshop it out. Okay, we got something cool going on here. I think I might space some of this stuff out a little bit. Want them to overlap a little bit, but I do not want them to look like they're monster trucks and riding on each other's hoods. This thing had to be parked in grass, didn't it? Okay, so there's got to be mud coming up off here or something. Something to fix this situation. Although, I was trying to space these cars out a little bit. Okay. I think we're at a pretty cool spot. Yeah. Okay, so I just hit save, and this thing is giving the Rams font that I use is giving me a little bit of an issue, which is pretty typical. I'm going to bring this in because it's falling off the artboard. Might make it a little smaller. Let's see how much of the butt we're covering up. pull this dude back a little bit so you can see the 83 a little more. Okay. Hitting Command Save, that keeps coming up every single time since I'm using this font. Now at this point, background. I'm going to do some sort of background. I think we're getting there. And then these cars, I probably may just bring in the Photoshop and see if I can't make them look slightly cartoony with a filter. Probably might not happen with as low res as everything is. So, figure out some sort of background to bring things out to the edge here. I'm going to make me a new layer. I'm going to call it the real effing background. Okay, so this little splatter thing that we took here, this is going to be my background. How? Well, I'm going to chop this thing up. And I'll show you exactly how I'm going to do that. However, I think we might need some more splatter backgrounds to work with here. To make sure in our tools we're still working with a large size. Too much, I'm reusing that. That's kind of neat. Probably a little too low resolution. That's kind of cool. Gives me a little bit of an idea. All right, I think I might grab this and use the edge of it. Actually, that's a little too crazy. Okay. Let's splice this dude up. Or actually, I'll tell you what. Instead of doing all that, take this. And I'm going to use this almost like a stamp. Take the parts that I find are interesting. All right, let's put this on our background layer. I'm going to lock this. And then we're just going to take this and kind of make something interesting looking. I think I might get rid of part of this section. And so basically I'm using this to, like I was saying, to kind of create some sort of stamp effect. I paste my original version here so I'm not losing what I already have. Let's flop it around and see what we got. Okay, that looks kind of cool. Have to get rid of some of these little dots that just will not print. Take this one, gonna clone it off. Create something a little interesting here. Issue with this is, might just have to make something a little more interesting going on there. In this case, I don't know, I might have to make this a little smaller or just adjust things. Yeah, I thought that looked more interesting. Flop this around. Try to fill some of this space up. Yeah, it's starting to get there. It is getting there. Slowly but surely. Who knows? I might really crunch this dude down. Let me get rid of that. Clone this one off. And do something along these lines. To kind of help contain some of this. Alright, I'm definitely going to have to go back and fix a lot of this. It's all part of graphic design, boys and girls. Let's see. I don't know, can we go back and find something that might be a little more contained? Let's look at this dude. Let's see what we get out of this one. Okay. Let me increase this so this disappears here. A little more. All right, gonna expand that. Grab this background. Same fill color. Delete. We don't need this. And this is just what we call getting creative with it. Am I stealing an image? No. We are just trying to get a little creative with some of this stuff here. At this point, I think I might just start filling stuff in. I don't know that I'm very happy with this one. Let me get rid of that. I'm going to go back to my original. I'm just going to start using it as a stamp to make some sort of interesting background. So what I'm basically doing is using this to kind of create some sort of background, really filler. I'm going to turn it into one big solid shape. And then I think I'll take that American flag that, excuse me, not the American flag, although God bless America. Shannon's laughing over there. We salute you. That's not how the anthem goes or anything remotely. You shut your mouth. You've never been in the service. Neither have I, so.
My friend Leora was in ROTC.
Oh, well, good for her. Congratulations, Leora. You know, if you want to come over here on camera and show us how it's done, you're more than welcome to. I went straight to art school.
Do you know that the salute was actually from
Hitler?
the Middle Ages when knights would lift, no, the salute was from when the Middle Ages when the knights would lift their the visors on their helmets so they could make eye contact.
Well, there you have it.
And that carried on to present day.
Fun fact.
I'm full of those.
Thank you, Shannon, for the fun. No, it's there's nothing to apologize about. Okay, so I just combine all these shapes here. So we got one big pile of mess, and I'm gonna try and delete. Well, there we go. I mean, that might be it. Yeah, it's looking pretty cool. It's getting there at least. I don't know. I think I might need to make this black outline here thicker. I pulled away from it. Either that or the pink at the top thinner.
Holy shit, you Bob Rossed it. I looked away for a second. I'm like, what the shit did that just happen?
Yeah, I did. I totally Bob Rossed it up. Okay, I'm going to get rid of some of this stuff around the side. Along with this stuff that just is not usable. Oh no, what happened? Okay, I probably shouldn't delete that part. I'm gonna get some of these little speckles though. And some of these. Some of this stuff we're gonna have to go work just a little bit of magic. Like this, we can just select and bah. That's not what I wanted to happen. But I'm gonna select it and just punch it down. Move down. Get into your space. Okay, now that just looks stupid. Alright, so my computer's a little slow. Overdid it. Let's move it back up. Okay. There we go. We got rid of this guy. Or you know what? I'll probably just throw it in the composition. Pow. End of story. Move this dude down. Yeah, it looks a little crazy, but you know, still looks like a splatter of sort. Looks a little funky. I like a little funk in my design. Oops, I must have hit something. Okay, that's better. And what I did is I accidentally hit the F button. With good reason. Actually, there was no reason at all for it. Okay. Getting rid of some more splatters. Trying to keep it confined here. Nah. Might just delete it and see what happens. Looks like I need to close that path off so it doesn't quite freak out. Nailed it. Same thing over here. This dude I might just pull up. Same thing with this guy. Let's flop it around so it doesn't quite look like the same thing over and over. Pull this dude out. I might do something a little different since we do know it is stamped off. I don't want it looking too repetitive. This guy we'll just delete. Take some of these little speckles here. Maybe move it up in this section over here. Not a whole lot going on there, so Might just make them a little bit bigger. Fill some of that space. Okay, it's looking pretty cool. The area that is, I'm pointing at the screen like you can see, but this area here and here looks like it could use a little something, but when we toss that finish line flag in there, that might be it. We might be finished with it, so let's take a look and see how that ends up coming out. But first, before we do that, a message by our sponsor. As always, don't forget Catspit Productions. Use our promo code. So that's the end of that. For real though. For you graphic designers out there that are watching this, that really aren't going to get into t-shirt screen printing, but if you do, we are an official rep for Catspit Productions. So use our promo code Mikey Designs and you'll get $5 off your purchase. And it helps support this channel. So that's enough of that. Moving on to the fun stuff. Doing some design work. And I just hit save again. Now, at this point, I'm trying to figure out. I feel like the cars have a lot of blue to begin with. And then I think we're good on the blue, with racing being blue. And let's see what we can do here. Okay. So this may or may not work. So actually, I think I'm going to copy this background. Come over here to Photoshop. Let me close that guy. I'm going to go to File New, or you can just hit Create New here, or Command N, whatever tickles your fancy. You have to excuse my computer, it's a little slow. Okay, so we're going to make sure that our document is 12 by 15. And because this is going on a t-shirt, that we will end up printing at 45 LPI. You know what? I'll do 200. 200 DPI RGB transparent background. Sounds like the way to go. So I basically copied that background. I'm going to paste it as pixels. Really do not need a smart object. Now, let's go back to, let's see. Might have to grab me a new racing flag. That is not going to work. Might end up doing some sort of cool grayscale stuff. I don't know why I always think grunge, or maybe it really should be some sort of abstract thing. This is kind of cool. Let me take that and see how that ends up working in the composition. So I'm going to take this dude and clone it off and put it in the background here. Command T to transform it. I don't know. This may or may not end up working out. So I'm going to come over to layers, select what I got here. Do something like that. Let's take our image mode, make it grayscale. I know I put it in RGB on purpose, but really want this background to be kind of a black and white thing. Black, white, gray. With screen printing, you're definitely going to end up putting some gray down. So let's pull this back a little bit. See what we got here. And I may just end up, actually I got my mask selected. Making this thing a little lighter. Yeah. Alright, it's losing some of its detail. We'll keep that as an option. At this point, I'm just kind of keeping my stuff organized. I like to keep things organized. Even though generally a lot of these images that I have been using, I like to relabel them, but we're on a time crunch here, and these shirts have to be finished today. I imagine by at least 7 p.m. Excuse me, 7 p.m., 6 p.m. So let's just call this BG, and we're going to make it PSD. That could be something that may work, might not. Trying to get something. Let's go back to our examples. Something a little more of this color, that gray. Something like what they got going on here. This definitely, that looks cool. This is very 80s retro looking. 90s. Not quite what I'm going for, but gives me a little bit of ideas. Alright, let's take this whole thing here and let's just pull everything up. Just lighten the whole thing up. See what we end up getting. Maybe even taking some points and maybe making this. Aha! Yep. It's getting there. Looks pretty neat. Although I kind of want some of these areas here to stick out a little more, so let's see what we do in curves. So I hit Command M. Actually kind of like how this is pixelating just a little bit. Okay. Now we're talking. I'm going to save that real quick. I'm going to go ahead and save this as a transparent TIFF real quick. Going to toss it in the background. Just see how it looks. Save transparency. Let's toss this in there and see how it looks. Let me just go to aligned artboard, center it up. I think I'm going to duplicate this real quick. Turn that one off. Cut that out. Get rid of my vector art. Send this to the back. I don't know. Looks kind of cool, however. I feel like this car that is gray is definitely getting lost. Obviously, it stood out more with the all black background, but I don't know. Let's try something else. That's pretty cool. Although I don't think I'm going to use that. Huh. Maybe. Man, that's crazy. All right, let me make sure we're on large images. Nope. I like that. But that didn't look like the correct size. Let's view that image real quick. Come on, browser, do your thing. Okay, we're not going to mess with that website. It's taking too long. That could be pretty cool. Let's bring that in real quick. Let me try flopping it. All right, we'll take this here, create a mask, call this option 2. Little on the light side for me, although let's take it just the way it is and see what happens. Call it op2. For option, we don't need the layers. Save transparency. Oh, good. And let's duplicate this again. Come here, we'll turn this one off. And I'm just going to go over to my links and I'm going to relink it with the image that I just saved. Okay, so now at this point, now the card that has white is definitely getting washed out. Okay. No, I'm not a fan. Like the other one better. I don't know. I might just end up using this background and then it's getting late, obviously, and then just kind of making it a little darker. Yeah, let's see what that looks like. This time around, I'm going to go to image mode and brightness. Dim that back a little bit. Kind of liked how dark the other one was. Let me pull the contrast back. I don't know. I mean, sometimes you just got to play around with these things and until you find something that works for you. We'll call it op1-2, so that way I know it's the second variation of the first option I was going with. Links, we're going to relink that. I'm going to go ahead and place it and see what we get. Doesn't look half bad. Just wondering how it will look on a pink shirt. It might look pretty cool. There's still some things that I want to do. I don't know. Maybe an outer glow around the cars or something. Maybe not. A lot of these examples I'm going by are black shirts, which tend to make it easier. Okay. This one's gray. Using a little bit of... Thing is, this car here. This dude just really... Let me back it up one. I don't know. I think maybe the lighter one may be the way to go. And then perhaps I can do something to make this car here stand out. So I'm kind of bouncing back and forth between the two. Yeah, I think I like the lighter variation better. Although this car here is an issue. Alright, so one thing I'm going to do at this moment, I'm going to go back to my layers. I'm going to lock this one. And I think I might play around with this a little bit. I think I might pull back some of the pink here. I feel like it's too bold, the pink outline. So I'm going to cut this. Alright, we got our pink selected. Let's try 40. Maybe do 35. Paste that back in place. See what we got. And then the white, I'm going to pull it back as well. If I can only get to it. One of the ways I get to it is right-clicking. Last object below. That didn't help. I almost forgot how I have this layered. There's so many of them. Okay, so there's our white. Might just start deselecting some of these things until I get to the white. That didn't work. Get rid of this one. That didn't work. Let's try that again. Well, here we are. However, okay. Let's try this. Gonna ungroup it. And actually, I'll group it again. Let me back up a little bit here. Okay. So the group that we are working with. Here we are. Now, pow. Okay, let's reduce that down some. Alright, I definitely went too far. Although, you know, that doesn't look too bad. Although I kind of still want that white outline around it. Just a little bit, just kind of make it pop. Alright, I think I'm going to stick with that. Still nice and group. So what I'm going to do at this point is go to Effect, Stylize, Drop Shadow, put a little bit of a drop shadow on it, make it just kind of really stand out. Let's try 0.3 inches and see what we get here. Okay, so now we're starting to get some contrast going on. I think the blur might be a little much. Yeah, let's do 2. Okay, so that added a little bit more depth to it, kind of making it stick out a little bit. We'll do the same thing with this guy. Drop shadow. Might be a little too much. Let's try 1. See what that gets us. Okay. And we'll go back to the 83. Drop shadow on it. And it's just little subtle things like that that really kind of tie things in. Makes things just kind of stand out. Which is why I need to go back to some of these cars and do a little something to make them stand out. So I just hit save real quick. I'm going to take me a short little break, stare at it for a while, and figure out what my next move is. Okay, I let my hair down a little bit. Thought about kind of sat back and got some of Shannon's feedback. The gray car here obviously doesn't stand out a whole lot, but there's a few things I'm going to do to make this work. So let's go ahead and dive in. I need to select these cars because I have some ideas to really kind of add a little, kind of jazz it up, so to speak. So I basically copied those cars. I'm going to turn this back to RGB. Turn all this stuff off. I'm going to paste the cars in here. Hit a return. Hit Command V, paste, return, and now I'm going to have to kind of recomp this just a little bit inside of Photoshop. So let me go back to my builds, grab all 4 of these images, and this is where our clipping paths are really going to come into play once again. And you'll have to excuse me if I'm starting to seem a little sluggish or I'm not quite as energetic as I could be, or for some reason it's not as entertaining. But I'm going to take this car, took my little clipping path there. Let's go find the car that we just had. I'm going to pull this guy off, bring this image in here. Let me go back to my layers and we'll call this comp. That's my little composition. We'll call this car 1 since it will be up at the top. Command T to transform it. Use my little tools here, little grab handles to kind of see what I'm doing. And I'm just kind of pulling back the opacity of this. I'm just trying to get it the exact same size as the composition as it is. If it's slightly off, then no big deal. Okay, we got car 1. Car 1 is down. I'm going to go ahead and close this out. I'm going to go to my next one. Go back to my clipping path and hold Command down. Here I go pointing again over this area. Just hold Command down. It brings up the little kind of marching ants thing. We're going to pull this one off. See you later. It's like, what's happening to my car? Oops, lost it. Let's try that again. Oh, well, I already got it in there. Good old late night designing. As you guys will see, it is 2:55 a.m. It's one of those things you have to do to get things done. All right, let's call this car 3. Command T to transform it. And pull it over here. Get it about the same size. Rotate it up a little bit. I'm going to pull my opacity back so I can kind of see what's going on. Make sure we're trying to match it up as close as we can. Again, doesn't have to be exact. All right, we're going to close this one out. Command W. Going to go to the next car. Same thing again. Clipping path. So I can get this guy out the way. And pull it on over. It's car number 4. I'm just going to go ahead and close that window. Just to simplify things. Pull it down here. Command T, transform. Scale, whatever you want to call it. Pull back my opacity so I can see what's going on underneath. And it looks pretty close. Close enough. And call this car 4. Some of these other things I'm going to get rid of as well because I don't need those images, these checkered flags. Last but not least, go to our paths, make our selection from the path that we have made. Clone it off. Ooh, this is the smallest of all the images, which you can tell because of a lot of the noise that's going on in there. And, you know, really because we're printing on t-shirts, it's not going to be too big of a deal. You do kind of notice once you do your separations with your film, because it will look a little pixelated in certain colors, but it'll end up looking all right. Okay, let me go back to our last image. I'm just going to close it out, keeping things organized. Again, with the organization. Car number 2. As you guessed it, car number 2. Okay, so I'm going to order my layers just that way. So that way we have things looking just as they should. Like with our comp, I'm going to go back, make these 100% again. turn it off. Actually, I'm going to turn these off. Take a look at my comp. That one's slightly different. Turn it back on. Rotate it just a little bit. Command T to transform it. Enter to get out of transform. And, you know, they're slightly off, but who's going to know except for us, right? Okay, I'm going to turn this one off. Look at my comp. Looks like 80, well, they're all car 83, but this one's behind this one's behind that one. So let's make sure that's how it looks. Looks like I jumped ahead of the game a little bit, so we probably need to do the order in reverse here. Okay, so that's looking like it. Next thing I'm going to do, the little idea that I do have, I'm going to clone each one of these off. I'm going to put this clone right behind it. And then I'm going to go to, let's go to filters. Yeah, let's go to filters. We're going to do blur. We're going to do a little bit of a motion blur. Before I even get that far, I'm going to make a background image. I'm just going to put BG. And let's find a gray kind of similar to our t-shirt quickly. Option delete. Gives you your fill. And let's go back to this copy here. We're going to go back to filter, blur. We're going to do, let's see. Here we are. Good old motion blur. And we're going to bump the distance of this up until we can start seeing a little bit of an action going on here. Make the car look like it's just speeding along so fast that your eye can hardly catch it. And that will kind of generate a little bit of interest, some motion. I think that's a little much. And you guys will find when you're designing stuff, you're going to figure out what works for you. So there's no right or wrong way to do this. Let's do it at 2000. Look at that. I actually kind of like that. Yeah, I think we're gonna go a little extreme here. I like that. You know what? I'm gonna come down to 750. So that looks pretty cool. So the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to take my eraser, hold Option Control, adjust my tool here. I'm going to get rid of what's in front of it, so that way now we just have what's going on behind it, right? Okay, so let's do the same thing for the rest of the cars. And since we applied that one filter, all you got to do is go to Filter, Motion Blur. Look at that. I'm going to drag it down below it. And I'm going to erase what's in front of it. So we got a little bit of a tail blur there. I'm going to do the same thing for car 2. Drag it below. Filter. Get rid of what's in front of it. Hey, what happened to our car 3? Let's turn that back on. There we go. Car 1. Drag it down below our layer. You know, it used to be able to just hit Command F, but now it's just a little goofy. I'm going to go up here and do that instead. And let's go back over here and erase what's in front of it. So now each one of these cars look like they're going fast. Got a little bit of a motion blur going on. I'm going to go ahead and save this. And what's going to happen is I'm going to end up just saving this as a separate image. Bring it into Illustrator. Okay, that looks pretty cool. I need to find some sort of way to separate this gray car from everything, so we might end up just doing, okay, so car 3 in outline. That's what I was getting to, is we're gonna, so let's see what it looks like with a little bit of a stroke on it. And we might play around with some of the colors, maybe white. Nah, I think black looks pretty cool. That's pretty cool looking. Okay, so I'm gonna right click and then I'm gonna copy layer style. I'm gonna go to each one of these, right click and paste layer style. And I don't know, it might not look that cool on all of them. Let's check it out first. Check it out, we'll bring it into our composition. See how it looks. So I'm going to turn this background off. And then I'm just going to save a TIFF. Transparent TIFF. You know, before I do that though, I think I'm going to make a new layer up here above car 4. Command Shift N. I'm going to call this merge. I'm going to hold Option down and then go over here and hit merge visible. Essentially what that did was it merged every single one of these layers into a transparent layer. So I'm going to turn the rest of these off. Save it as a transparent TIFF. We're going to call it comp. Get rid of the layers. Save transparency. Come over here to Photoshop. So all these guys that I do have selected, I'm just going to turn them off. Command Shift P. Let's find our image. I'm going to double click on it. I don't know, that looks kind of cool. Send it to the back, grab this one, send it to the back. And I do that using Command Shift. It's the left bracket directly to the right of the P. Okay. So that's looking pretty cool. Let me move this up. See where we're at in the composition. Turn one of these cars on. Looks like I need to enlarge it a little bit. You know, let me turn the rest of them on. Kind of get some bases to go by here. Looks like the nose end of our car is sticking off. Okay, that's pretty close. Let me turn these back off. Yeah, you know, I like that. Now the car stands out. The car does indeed stand out. However, why is there... I must have turned one of the wrong images off.
Sorry.
Okay, I like that. That's looking good. You can see the little action lines from the cars going on. You might not be able to see it as much behind everything that's going on here. However, who knows? We can make this a little smaller. I don't make it too small. Maybe we can just drag it like this. Just make it taller. Push it over to the right a little bit. enlarge it, make it a little taller. This is our design after all, so we can do whatever we want. I decided I want some of this tail end of all the cars showing where it's got this little blur. So that looks pretty cool. That looks pretty awesome. Now we need to figure out what to do about this here. Oh man. So I think I'm going to do like some little dirt thing going on. How to tackle that? That is the question. That is the question. Might shove this around a little bit. Who knows? I might just... I kind of like some of that checkered flag showing down there. A little bit of our border. So I'm going to keep it where it's at. Where it was at. Okay, so a little composition that we did just create. I'm going to go ahead and save this real quick. I think she's going to love this. What do you think, Shannon?
I can't see it anymore.
You can't see anymore. She is tired too. We are working some late hours. A little too late. A little too late. What's that?
I have my anime.
Shannon is watching her anime. Okay. Now, at this point, I'm going to get rid of a lot of this clutter. I feel pretty comfortable with where I'm at. These help with ideas. And I'll leave some of this stuff here. Actually, I'll just put it on a new layer real quick. Just to kind of get it out of my hair so I can kind of really visualize what's going on here. I'll just call it builds. I feel like I just took something I shouldn't have. Okay. Here we go. Let's grab this one too. Yep. Looks like it's probably locked on the background or something. Command F, selected my layer. Just going to turn that off. Looking pretty cool. Now, I'm just saving it real quick. And I'm going to think for a moment. Try and figure out a solution as to how I'm going to make the dirt look cool. Still look like dirt. However, find some sort of way to make everything look cohesive. So give me a minute. I'm going to think about that real quick. I'll be right back. Okay, now that I've had a moment to kind of take a look at stuff, and Shannon's yawning over there because she's getting tired. What I'm going to do is I think I'm going to boost these up a little bit, and essentially how I'm going to do that, let's just copy this merge off. There we go. Boost it up a little bit. I might even do that one more time. And then for some of these, now this is getting a little ridiculous. This is the one I wanted to boost up some more. So I'm going to go back to my first copy, erase some of this here. So it's not too extreme. And I may go back to my second copy and then reduce my opacity and kind of pull this back just a touch. Okay, that's looking pretty cool. Now, one of the things I am going to do is I have to essentially put something that kind of looks like mud covering this up. And with this car, I need to get rid of these copyright things that are going on here. So I'm going to go to my clone tool, my clone stamp tool, And I'm just going to take a portion of this car, and for one, I'm going to just select the whole thing so I'm not going too far out and about. Actually, let's go to my car one. We'll select it. I need to turn it on in order to select it. Yeah. Well, there's the issue. I'm trying to select car one instead of car two. Okay, let's go up to my merge. And I'm going to make this a little smaller. Control Option, size that down. Now I'm going to hit Option, sample that, come down over here, and start kind of erasing some of this stuff. Getting rid of it, because we do not need that in there. I'm going to come down here, erase some of this stuff. And I'm trying to make this look as seamless as possible. Might even grab some of this because it is a little bit of a darker shade. I just held shift in order to do that kind of quick line between the two, if you know what I mean. Let's do that again. And I'm just grabbing off different little sections of this, trying to basically get rid of what is here. Now I'm going to go down to this tire. This may be, let me back up a little bit. This will be a little more difficult. There we go. It is now gone. Now we need to get rid of this little portion here. I'm going to grab part of this tire. Do something similar. This wheel might end up looking a little goofy, but hey, it is what it is. Okay, so went a little too far with that. I'm just going to manually get rid of this selection by holding Option. Let's go back to our stamp tool, our clone tool. We're just going to make this all the same color. Trying to make the tire look round. Okay. Hit Command D, get rid of that. Looking pretty good. Now I need to figure out how I'm going to go about making some sort of mud thing going on here. Cover up these tires where it essentially was sitting in grass. Hopefully I didn't want that person standing here. Woo! #1, baby. If you're not first, you're last. It's copyright by Mikey Designs. Or really is it? Okay, Ricky Bobby. You sound like a dog with peanut butter in your mouth. Okay. Now comes a challenging part. And I think I may go back to... Man, where did we find some of that? Let's look at this splatter background. Or maybe let's try mud flinging. Black, white. That might get us something. Or not. We might just get a bunch of people working in the mud. Let's try that splatter background again. Black and white. Okay. So this is the part that's gonna be a little time consuming. because we're just kind of looking for a black and white image. We're still on large, and you can probably scroll through these for days. Who knows, maybe this might work. Let's take this. We're going to just drag this over to our composition here. And that potentially could look like mud splattering. So I'm going to do select, and then we're going to do color range. I'm going to select this black here. I'm going to bump it up to 100. Easy with the yawning back there.
You can hear me?
Oh yeah, I can hear you all right.
Sorry.
It's okay. Now I'm going to inverse this selection, delete the white. Now I'm going to turn this layer on only. I just held Option down and clicked on the eye. And I'm going to take this lasso tool. I'm going to really delete some of the stuff that I do not need. Just trying to keep stuff that does look like a mud splatter. These both kind of look like a mud splatter. So I'm going to select this one, hit Command Shift J, put it on a separate layer. We'll call this Mud 1. We'll call this Mud 2. Okay, so Mud 1, we're going to hit Command T. Actually, I got that backwards. Mud 2. Command T. Let's just flip that up and around. And depending on where we need it, it will, I mean, essentially we're going to kind of cover up some of the stuff that's going on here. Okay, where were we at? That's Mud 1. Excuse me, Mud 2, Mud 1. So we're just going to drag this up here. I'm going to go over to my car 4. Let's see, where is car 4? Hold Command down, make that little selection. I'm just going to do select, modify, expand. We'll say 10 pixels, too much. Select, modify, expand. Let's say 6. Okay, that works for me. I'm going to inverse that, Command Shift I. And I'm going to mask that off using this little button down here. Okay, now it looks somewhat like we got a little bit of mud going on here. I am going to adjust that a little bit with our brightness and contrast just to make it look more like gray. Let me get off my mask layer. Here's mode, adjustments, brightness. You know, that's not going to work. Let's go to, let's hit Command M for curves, and then we'll just really pull that back, make it look a little more gray. So I'm just clicking off points here. And this will be one of those things where it's just kind of like, you have to play with it. Now it's looking quite like it's got quite a bit of noise, which is to be expected. Let's try that again. I know what I'm going to have to do here. Let's pull this back some. I'm going to keep some of the darkness there. So it does look like a gray mud. Now I'm going to hit Command U, pull my saturation back, make sure I'm getting all the color out of that. Okay, now it looks like some gray mud is kind of splattering around the wheel, kind of covering that up. Let's turn mud 1 on. You know, mud 1 may not work. I'm going to turn that, excuse me, mud 2. Let's see. Let's go back to mud 1. We're going to clone that off. And then we're going to use a little bit of Photoshop magic to essentially make it not look 100% the same. I'm going to, yeah, maybe not compress as much, maybe expand it a little bit. Now we're going to bring this down just a touch. And then I'm going to go back to my masking layer. I'm going to take my brush. I'm going to get rid of some of this stuff. Make sure it's at 100%. I need to get rid of it quickly. I'm putting a lot of time into this, but it's going to be well worth it. I might leave a few of these pieces here. We'll kind of blur it out just a little bit. Get rid of some of that. Okay, it looks good to me. We'll go back to this one here. Maybe hit a little bit with the blur. All right. So there we go. I'm going to save that real quick. Save another TIFF out. I'm just going to replace the one that is already there. I'm going to go ahead and hit, let's see, BG, comp. I'm going to make sure I know what it is. We'll just call it new. Get rid of the layer selection here. Save transparency. I'm going to come back over to my image, go to links, I'm going to relink that. And there we go. Looks like we got ourselves a little bit of mud going on here. I do need to fix that now that I'm looking at it and it's in there in the composition. So let me go ahead and fix that real quick. It's hard to tell sometimes. You know, this might help. There we go. Turn that on. Go up here. Sorry about that. Let's try that again. Make sure. Okay, so it's the wrong one. Let's try that. Maybe take some of the hard edge off of what we have going on here. Okay. Let's see how that looks. We'll turn our background back off. I'm going to save that. It's telling me it's still saving at the moment. Let's try that again. Command Shift S. Click the button a little too soon. Here we go. Get rid of the layers. I'm going to replace it. Save transparency. Go back to Illustrator. And yes, what it's going to do is relink this, put the image back in there, replace it. There we go. It's feathered out a little bit. Looks like some mud. Although these guys don't drive through mud a whole lot. It's dirt. So, I mean, it's dirt basically. Okay, that looks pretty cool. I think we're just about finished. There's going to be one more thing that I am going to do, and I think I'll just do that in Illustrator. And then we can kind of put this comp on a t-shirt and send it off to our client. So I'm going to put some little action lines here on the cars. And we're essentially going to use, hit Command Y real quick so I can see my line. Actually, let me go back to that. So we're just going to use a gradient to, and we're just going to clone this same thing off over and over, resize it, make them look a little different. You always have to use them or draw new lines. These are kind of like quick little things that I do personally. Take this gradient here and we're going to adjust it from there. Make sure it's on our fill, not our outline. And we're going to use our little swatches here. Bring over our white spot color. Now we're going to take this one here and let's say 10%. Okay, so that way, no, actually let's make that 0. So now we got a nice little transition going on here. I don't want this as hard as it is, so I'm going to go to transparency. I'm going to pull that back just enough to make it so you got some little accent lines going on here. Sorry, I grabbed the wrong thing. I might put a couple, 2 or 3s on each car. So we'll do something like maybe off the top of the tire. Make this one a little shorter. Take our skew tool, skew it down a little bit. Just something to create a little bit of action, because these cars do go fast. We'll take the same set, bring it over to the gray car. I'm going to take my mirror tool, hit return twice. I'm going to rotate it until we kind of get this in a cool spot for this car as well. And boy, is this thing getting funky. There we go. Kind of some action coming off the body lines there. And then I'm just going to do the same thing. Clone it off. Put it on this car. And in this case, I might even just make sure it's right on top of racing. So that way we get a little of that action in there. That way it's clearly visible. And who knows, we might make it even look somewhat like an underline going underneath the racing. And that looks pretty neat. I think I'll put one on the top of the car. Size it down a little bit. Rotate it. There we go. Starting to really come together. And we'll do the same thing for this car as well. I think for 83 it's probably not going to stand out as much. Pull 83 in front. Command Shift right bracket. It's little brackets that are directly to the right hand side of the P on your keyboard. And you're not going to see a whole lot of what's going on with this car, but you do see some things going on. I don't think I want to cover up level. Maybe it'll be off the top of the car. All right. I think that's it. I think it looks pretty good. Got our mud going on. We got level really big. Incorporated some of our pink, yellow, blue into some of our fonts here. 83 kind of ties in the yellow here and here. Some yellow in the cars. It's looking pretty cool. So quickly, I'm going to take this design, and I'm going to toss it onto the front of a t-shirt for both not only gray but pink as well. Let me make sure I'm able to grab everything I should be able to grab. Get rid of that once and for all. Select everything. I'm going to hit Command Cut. Okay. Are you able to grab everything? I'm going to hit Undo. Let me save this real quick. Don't want to lose my work. Okay, now I'm going to go over to my template that I have designed myself. If you need a proof template, well, we can offer that up for you guys. I don't know. Maybe we can make that part of our registration template. That is $5. Hand that off to you, but should be able to make something simple enough like this for yourself. All right, I'm going to hit Command V to paste everything in here. What happened?
Headphone plug knocked over stuff.
Okay, paste it in there. I'm going to turn this RGB so we get our bright colors back. Let me delete that. Paste it again. Wasn't looking quite as vibrant. Maybe it was. Maybe now it's right up next to this background. It's looking a little different. Yeah. Okay. Sorry, I'm going to do this one more time and then kind of group everything minus the background by hitting Command G. All right, let me get rid of this selection part of the background. Gonna group this off, move it out the way, get rid of that gray background. And then we're going to put this on the front of the t-shirt. And they have two different t-shirt colors. One of them is gray. And then the other is a hot pink. Which the background will come out slightly different. So what I will have to do is kind of mimic or replicate how that will look here for the client to approve. So we know this is 12 by 15. Looks good to me. Select all, copy, select all, paste. Okay, so this is going to be a gray shirt, and this one is going to be hot pink. I think we need to change that up a little bit. Make it a little more, or it's not a hot pink, it's actually a safety pink. It's going to kind of eyeball that. Okay, this shirt in particular, this background will probably have a little bit more transparency to it. I'm going to hit multiply, grab this up. I think I used the wrong thing. I'm going to have to go back a little bit. Let's see. Where is my background? That is not it. There we are. So I'm just going to pull back the transparency a little bit. Copy. Paste it in front. I'll hit multiply. Let's see how that ends up looking. Okay. so it will more than likely end up looking a little more like that. Let me go back. Definitely make it look a little more bright than that. Okay. Maybe I just bumped that up 100%. There we go. That's definitely a lot more like what it'll look like. Okay. Got one more small thing. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put the colors that we have used in our swatch palette here, and then I'm going to send it off to a client. Thanks for tuning in, guys. I really appreciate you kind of hanging out, watching me design something. For those of you that completely went through and watched all of it, you're awesome. It's greatly appreciated. If you're new, don't forget to subscribe. Give this video a thumbs up. Go to our Facebook page. Give it a like. Follow us on Instagram. And until next time, guys, we'll see you later.